friends, welcome back to Crafter Support. I'm Andrea, and today we're going to be working on a comparison video of the HTV Ront Mini Press and the Cricut Mini Easy Press. I'm sorry, it's the Mini Press 2 for HTV Ront. So we're going to make these two bags. So we're using the same material for both bags. We're using Smart Iron-On from my Cricut Joy Extra, and we're setting the heat presses to the same temperature, and we're going to press them. So I just wanted to see which one I liked better. The HTV Ront was given to me as a gift from HTV Ront. It was not like under any contract or anything like that. I have other contracts with them. This was just a gift that they sent me for participating. I don't know. So I am going to mark this as a promotion video just because of laws. I'm not sure what the rules are and I don't want to get in any trouble, but I am doing this as a comparison video privately. They did not ask me to do this. They just sent me this as a gift. But I wanted to share it with you guys so that you know, because there is a significant price difference for these. So I wanted to share it with you. All right, guys, so let's jump on over to the video. So the first thing I did was go into Design Space and pick out a receipt and a savings design. And I went ahead and attached them together so that they would cut in the same on the same piece. And then what I did was I ended up cutting the extra smart material off. So just so you know, if you cut the smart material off and it's too small to be used as smart material without a mat, you can still use it as material on a mat. You would still choose the smart material setting whenever you're cutting it, but you would just put that it's on a mat. So just in case you didn't know that. So if you have to cut pieces off that are extra, save those. Like I said, you can still use them. It's just you aren't going to use them matless, that's all. So I'm just cutting off everything that I don't need, and then I'm going to begin weeding that. So if you're new to Cricut, weeding is just taking everything you don't want on there off. And remember, when you put it into your machine, even though it's smart material, you're going to put shiny side down, and the dull side is what you're going to be seeing. So here I'm just weeding everything out. I love smart material. It's so easy to weed. And it just is smooth, like it's super smooth. And I really like the results I get from using smart material. So here I'm just pulling out the rest of all the little tiny pieces and getting it all ready to press. So I wanted to make this as close as possible to having the same designs, but I still wanted the designs that I wanted, if that makes sense. So I just tried to get everything so it could be a fair comparison, if you know what I mean. So I'm not really deciding like which one I'm going to use for which, but I end up using the Cricut Easy Press for the savings one and the HTV Ront Mini Press 2 for the receipts. And you guys will see that they both do turn out. You saw the pretty bags at the beginning. They both turn out, and there was quite a few differences in using the presses, which I actually didn't expect as many as what I had gotten out of it, like what I thought of it. But yeah, it was very interesting to compare these two because they look so similar, but yet there was a lot of differences. So I'm just going to put this aside, and I'm going to get out the Easy Presses for you to see. So this is my Cricut Easy Press Mini. And then I've never used the this one. Like, this is the first time I'm going to use it. Now, I have pulled it out of the box. I did an unboxing with this, but I haven't used it or pulled it out since then. So it's still in box. I have the paperwork with it. I do have some specs on them. One is the low setting for the HTV Ront is 284. The medium is 320. The high is 356. The pressing space is 2.6 by 4.4. The Cricut Mini Press is low is 255 to 295. The medium is 300 to 355. And the high is 360 to 400. So there's a note, though, that Cricut lets with this. It says Cricut Easy Press Mini temps do not fluctuate within these ranges. Rather, each setting has been tested and qualified to work with materials that typically press in a heat press at those temperatures. So somehow they were able to like make that work, which is pretty amazing. So here are the bases. Obviously the HTV Ront is super short, very small, and it feels more plasticky, where the Cricut one is very thick and it feels more like a silicone, like I'm guessing that's what it is. But yeah, that is super important for this in this video. I was really shocked at the difference, because I knew whenever I pulled it out it was thin, but until I put them side by side, I was like, wow. So you can see that HTV Ront is larger, has a larger size than the Cricut. And the recommended, I couldn't find a lot of information on the HTV Ront 2 one, but the Cricut one says they recommend maximum size of design for iron-on 4 inches wide by 3.5 inches long, and infusible ink 2.75 wide by 2.75 long. That's what they recommend your designs being no bigger to use with your Easy Press Mini. Now, I would think that the HTV Ront is similar, but I don't know, guys. The handle was really good. Like, it had a lot of give, and it was, it kind of bounced a little bit, if you guys saw that. And then to turn it, you had to turn it to these numbers. And it wasn't like, I wasn't really 100% sure what temperature it was getting to. Even though it told me, like, when I Googled it, it said it was, you know, medium was 320. So I knew that that's about the temperature I needed. So I put it on medium, and I also end up putting the Cricut Mini Press on number 2, which is their medium. So they're very close in range. And then I turn them on at the same time, like 1 to 1 and 2 to 2. But it was just, the HTV Ront was just a little bit, I was unsure. Like with the Cricut, I knew, like, I was like, oh, okay, we're on this number, or we're on this number. So I originally put my mini press, I put them on 3, and then I was like, oh, I don't need them quite that high. So then I bumped them down to 2, because I wanted to be like completely with the right number. So I end up moving it back to 2, and then I switched the Cricut Mini Press onto 2. And now we're just going to see which one heats up first. So the HTV Ront says on their site, it saves 20 seconds of heat up time compared with other brands. Now, if you watch in this video, I'm leaving it play the whole way through. I'm not speeding it up or anything. You'll see which one lights up first, and there's quite a significant difference for the light up time. So they both do have green indicator lights that once they get to the right temperature, they will pop on. And if they drop below that temperature, they turn red again. So, which is very interesting too, which you'll see throughout the video. So I'm just waiting here. I know this is like a long wait for this, but I really wanted you guys to see the difference, because the price difference for this, the HTV Ront is like $29.99 and the Cricut Easy Press Mini is like $49.99. So, and you can use like discounts and things on the Cricut one. HTV Ront, they have sales all the time. You can also get them off Amazon. So here the Cricut one it's at the right temperature. So I'm going to just put that one back down in the base. And now I'm just going to hold on to the HTV Ront one until it goes to green. And it does take a little bit of extra time. Okay, so there it turned green and we're ready to go. So now I'm just going to pull all of my things in that I need. And here are the bags that we're going to be making. These I got at the Dollar Tree a couple years ago. It's been quite a few years, but I bought a whole bunch of them because I was using them for my daughter's birthday. So we're just pulling all of our stuff out. We have our Cricut pressing mat, and I'm just looking to see how, what the temperature is for me to press it, which it said 30 seconds, and you do a 5-second preheat for the materials. So that's what I do. I think I start with HTV Ront, if I remember correctly. That's what I started with. So now everything's ready. I'm going to do the pre-press. And this is when you pre-press something, you're getting those little wrinkles out and things. And two, you're just getting rid of any moisture that could be in the material, because you don't want moisture mixing with your iron-on, because that's not going to work well. So now I'm just lining up my design, and it says for 30 seconds. Now, I did see it went back to red. Like I used it to pre-press, and then it went back to red. So I was like, okay, we'll let it turn back to green, and then we'll see if maybe just because I used it on something colder and then it kind of cooled the press down. I really wasn't sure what that was all about, but I do wait till it turns green again before I actually press with it. And I found that throughout the entire project, I had to do that. So if I stopped, I had to give it a minute and like let it turn back to green. So I don't know if there's just something wrong with the one I have, or if that's normal, that if it gets too cold, it will turn red, and then I have to let it heat up again. But I had trouble with the handle. Like, it wasn't comfortable for me to hold. And like I said, it had too much, like, it didn't have a solid like press down. It definitely, I had to press forward with it. Like, I had to press towards the front. And I found that that was the best way for me to get the press I thought that I needed. And I even switched hands thinking like, okay, maybe I'm holding it funny because I'm not used to this handle. But it was, in general, it was just difficult to press with. So I did it, and then I started to peel it up, but it hadn't pressed the whole way, which that happens. That happens a lot. Sometimes you just have to give more pressure on the corners, give it a full press, let it cool before you try to peel it. So I was trying to make sure I hit all of the corners really well. So I do give it a little bit longer, and I'm pressing as hard as I can towards the front. And I feel like most of the pressure was coming from the front of the iron. It wasn't coming from like the entire iron, if that makes sense, because I felt like I was pushing forward and down more than straight down. And I tried like shifting my hands and seeing if that was the problem. And there it went again. Like, I don't know if I was losing the heat and that's what happened. I don't know. So I started to peel it up, and I was like, okay, no, there's still pieces coming up. So I'm pressing it again. And by this point, I lost what 30 seconds I was on. But the whole point was I wanted to show you that it can work. It's just, it was a little like, I was unsure of when it was ready. And pressing down was just not, it wasn't comfortable. It was more of like, I don't know, like there was too much give. I know I keep saying that, but that's the only way I can explain it. There was like, the handle would bend. And so I couldn't really press down like I feel like I do with my Cricut Mini press. So there I'm like pushing forward with the top of my hand, and I'm trying to give all the corners a really good press to hold down. Because I feel like once you get your corners, you're good. And then you can just heat over the entire piece. And I ended up pushing straight down as best as I could on the entire thing, just so that there I could get it to stay in place, because I wanted it to work. So I was just trying to figure out what I could do, because if you are in the market and you want to buy this one for $29.99, it just might take a little bit of finagling, I guess, to make it work well, I guess. I ended up turning it up to 3, thinking I might use it on 3, but then it turned red again, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna just put it aside and I'll let it cool completely before I peel it. So then I have my Cricut one ready. I'm gonna do the same thing, the 5 seconds, just to get any moisture out. And actually the Cricut one, the design's a little bit thicker. So, you have to, like, the thicker the design, like the more pressure that I feel like you have, not pressure, but the more you really have to heat it, because it's more of a solid line, where like little thin letters seem to be easily pressed on. So here I'm just going over all of the pieces and pressing everything down. I have to say and it could be because I'm used to it, but my Cricut handle is just so much more sturdy. Like, I feel like I have full control whenever I use that one. I didn't have any issues with the pressing part. Nothing was giving. it just felt comfortable in my hand. And like I said, honestly, the only issue with the HTV Ront one was it had all that give, and I felt like I just couldn't, I couldn't get a grip or a good press with it. So again, it happens whenever you're doing small designs that you really have to get those corner pieces down. So I went back over mine, just making sure that everything was pressed well. And that I do suggest that if you are pressing something and you're not 100% giving the pressure that it needs, go over it a few more times. Make sure that you have the right amount of heat, time, and pressure on every single piece, because with the mini presses, you can't, like, at least I know I'm not consistent with pressure. Like, I try to be, but I have very bad wrists, so I know that I'm not giving it constantly the same amount of pressure in the right spots. So I do my edges, and then I set it aside to cool as well. So now I'm just pulling this one back and peeling it, and it comes out perfect. So although it took a few more presses and a little bit longer in time, it did end up working and it came out perfect. So all in all, it will press, it will heat the material to the right amount that you can press your design, and it looks fine. So now I'm just going to peel. I'm just trying to cool off this one because it didn't set it quite as long. And I'm just going to peel this one, and it came out perfectly fine. It looks great. No issues with it at all. And I was really happy with the outcome of both. So the main thing that I found about these was I wasn't 100% sure that the HTV Ront press was heating up properly, just because it kept going from green to red and back and forth. Even after like just a little bit of use, it would jump back to red. Like, it just wasn't, it wasn't ready to use. And here's a huge one, the base. Okay, you see me, the Cricut is hot as it was to press it. I can hold the base of this in my hand, no issues whatsoever. Then I try to pick up the HTV Ront one. Do not recommend. It burnt my fingers. It's not cooled down at all. Like, you can't touch it. And it was really hot on my mat, which I didn't expect because I've never had that issue with my Cricut. And like, I can hold the Cricut one in my hand. There's no, it's not anywhere near temperature to burn me or my mat or anything. But the HTV Ront one absolutely is. So I highly recommend you put that on a silicone mat, or you put it on your heat mat itself. Because man, it was hot, and I don't know how safe I feel with that. I can honestly say I probably will not use my HTV Ront one. Maybe if something happens to my Cricut one, or I may just give it to somebody and say, just be super careful with it. I just am not a fan of it. But yeah, it's really hot. So I'm just leaving that on my mat there to cool. And my, like I said, my Cricut one, it's not even on, like, it's not hot at all. So I was very, very surprised at the heat that it gave off, which, I mean, that's just something that, you'll have to be really careful with where you let it sit. If you have children around, like, I'm always careful with my Cricut. I don't have young children, but if I have young children here and we're crafting, we're always very careful. But I definitely would not allow even like an older child to use the HTV Ront one. It just gets way, way too hot on the base, within reason. Like, if it's a teenager, yeah, but I have had children younger than teenagers use my Cricut, and they haven't had any issues with parent supervision, obviously. But I wouldn't let them use the HTV Ront one. I'm sorry. But I really appreciate that they sent it to me to try out, and they've been so good to me. And, they, like I said, they didn't ask me to do this review. I chose to do it, and I just can't, I have to say I would spend the extra money to get the Cricut one. And again, you don't have to use my link for it. You can go buy it on Amazon, wherever you want to buy it from. But for a few of those reasons, I would not recommend the HTV Ront one. All in all, it did the job, but the handle thing, the light, not being sure what the temperature was, the fact that it got so hot on my mat. I should have checked it even before, like I did the video. I should have just been like, let me check it, because it did like leave quite the heat mark, which I'm hoping will go away on my mat. But lesson learned, be careful with it. If you do have one and you have a different opinion, that's perfectly fine. I totally get it. But I'm going to stick with my Cricut Easy Press Mini. It just works perfect for me, and it's just comfortable. So, all right, guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope this was helpful, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye.